Oh yeah, here we go. We should be good. Let me double check and make sure we are all set. Y'all know what to do. Drop a 1 in the chat if you can hear me. Drop a 1 in the chat if you can see me. We looking all crispy and clean on the screen. And welcome, y'all. Welcome back to another YouTube live stream and another episode of the ClassE Morning Show. I'm your host, ClassE, of patreon.com/ClassEbeats. By the way, make sure you check out the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as in the pinned comment in the chat. Guys, we're going to have another amazing day where we get to talk about my favorite segment on the show. It's called I Told You So.
It appears that I made a mistake.
And I cannot wait to talk about this because we saw it coming. We talked about it. Day 18 of the Karen Reed trial. We knew what was going to go down and what was about to happen. We're going to get into it. Also got some news about YNW Melly. We got some more Diddy trial updates. And Michael Proctor is back in the news. This guy just won't give up. But we're going to get into it here shortly. I do ask you guys for a favor. But before I ask the favor, I got to say what's up to the people, though. Shout out to the gang in the building. We got everybody in here. We've got my awesome, amazing Amy is in the building early this morning. Les Cleaver is in here, my guy. Shout out to all the members. Libby22 SC Girls in here this morning. We got Nosy Rosie, Virginia Wiley, Bonnie Finley. Oh my goodness. We've got Minnie is in here as well. Good to see y'all. And shout out to everybody who's in the building. It's going to be a great show. Again, guys, I don't ask for much on this show, but the one thing I do ask is that you all like the video on your way in. Not only is it free, it helps the channel continue to grow. Lets the algorithm know you guys are enjoying the show, and it shares the video, this live stream, and the entire channel with more people. So if you guys could take a second and share out the video for us, I would appreciate it. Also, if you feel extra generous, you can like the video and share the video. You can share it to your Facebook groups. You can share it to Snapchat. You can share it on IG. You can share it on X. You can even send it to your group chat. All right. So thank you for those of you who have already done that. I appreciate y'all supporting. Also, I want to give a big shout out and say thank you to everyone who's gone the extra mile and sent in super chats. KP's in here. Atomic Husky's in the building as well. Good to see y'all. Shout out to the first super chat of the day. My guy Les Cleaver in the building with the 10 bomb says, may the good Lord bless you and keep you always and stay cool. Be loved and love one another as you would love yourself. I love that. Remember, God has this every day. Amen. Love you, CEB family, ClassE, and Amy. Shout out to Les Cleaver. Not only is he being generous with the 10 bomb, but he also gifted 5 memberships. Les Cleaver, man, one of the hardest working guys I know. He's always tapping in, stopping by on his lunch break, stopping by on his breaks after he gets off of work. Shout out to Les Cleaver, man. Always in here supporting, and a great message as well. If you got a membership from Les Cleaver, make sure you guys say thank you and show Les some appreciation and love. So you guys may have heard the news about Shannon Burgess. We're going to get into it here shortly. As a witness during the Karen Reed trial, we're actually going to do a little bit of a rewind and go back to when Shannon Burgess was on the stand. But we've got some breaking news that is absolutely insane. If y'all haven't yet, make sure you like the video. This is wild. I cannot believe it actually happened. But we're going to talk about it here. All right, let me make sure we're good and we are all set. Oh yeah, it looks like we're good to go. So we finally found out that we were right, guys. We called this during the Karen Reed trial on day 18. I remember it specifically. When Shannon Burgess was on the stand, and this man got absolutely obliterated by the defense team. Now, you're wondering who Shannon Burgess is? Well, we're going to talk about it. Now, you won't find him on his company website because he's no longer there, which is what we're going to get into here shortly. So, in a crazy turn of events, Shannon Burgess, the expert witness during the Karen Reed trial, the man who helped reconstruct and download certain data from a vehicle during the trial, is now no longer on Aperture's website. Yes. Not only is he not on their website, but Shannon Burgess is not listed as an expert. So if you guys look here, I Googled Shannon Burgess and I can even refresh the page and you can see it has Shannon Burgess here, forensic expert. They still, I don't know why Aperture hasn't removed this yet. But if you click on his name, look what happens. Now, you might be saying, well, you know, it was probably an accident. It's okay. They might have an issue with their website. Things might be down. It says no documents were returned. You know, it's probably just a mistake. Well, that might be true, except if you click on their experts, you can see they've done a great job with their expert. Got these nice headshots in here. And you scroll down, it looks like everything's in alphabetical order. We've got Richard Burrow in there. We've got Shane Bolus is in the building. But, oh, wait. Fletcher Brown. And then it goes to Erica Calloway. Where is Shannon Burgess? Oh, my. It's looking like Shannon Burgess is up out of there, guys. And nobody is shocked and surprised by this, except the people who said it wasn't going to happen. I actually made a bet with somebody during the live stream that this eventually would happen, and they didn't believe me. So I'm going to need them to run me their money. I'm not going to call their name out and say who it is, but you know who you are. You owe me some cash at this point. So now you go through that. Not only did this happen recently, but if you go over to LinkedIn, it's interesting because Shannon Burgess was actually working and did some things with Aperture over the last couple of months. So if you go to this LinkedIn post by Matthew Levin, I don't know who he is. It's just somebody who did an event with Shannon Burgess and Aperture, it looks like. And what does he say? He tags Shannon Burgess and he says, Shannon Burgess and I were honored to present the SAE International Technical Paper we wrote along with Lance Fye, titled An Introduction and Evaluation of Apple iOS Device Data for Use in Crash Reconstruction. How ironic. At the World Congress Experience, the WCX, in 2025 in Detroit, Michigan this week. And this was 2 months ago. This is a must read for anyone interested in validating the iOS speed and device artifacts. We are doing great work for Aperture LLC. So obviously, Matthew, he works for Aperture, and we could probably go to the website here and find him. I haven't looked. And where is Matthew at? Is he one of their specialists? Matthew, yep, there he is. Shout out to Matt Levin. So the interesting thing about this post is that if you try and click on Shannon Burgess's name, he's nowhere to be found. You can't even find him on LinkedIn. Obviously, you can't find Shannon on LinkedIn because he removed his LinkedIn and took his LinkedIn down. And this actually happened, and we saw it happen during the trial. But now it's not back up. It's not updated. And he tried to fix all of this, and it turned into an absolute mess. Obviously, as we said here, you can look at the clips and see that Shannon is no longer on the website. And I wanted to do a little bit of a rewind and go back to the trial and show you guys the point where Shannon on the stand lied and admitted he lied about what was on his resume and what was on his LinkedIn profile. This is another picture. You see Shannon Burgess over there on the left side that someone found. And they say Shannon Burgess has been rehomed, because we're using that term now, and is no longer with Aperture. Now, it hasn't been verified that he doesn't work for the company. But as you guys can see from this, it's clear that Shannon is no longer an expert there. However, under the menu item careers on the Aperture website, Shannon appears in a picture where it states truth in focus. Oh, how ironic. I'm not sure who these other folks are, but you see Shannon there. And this was not a recent picture. The only thing I can find recently about Shannon is this LinkedIn post. And of course, his LinkedIn profile has been deactivated or it's just not up at all. Let's go back and do a little bit of a rewind and go to day 18 during the Karen Reed trial when Alessi just started cooking Shannon Burgess for no reason. Here we go. That's sad, man.
May I approach your honor?
Yes.
Thank you. Burgess, I am presenting to you what has been marked as Exhibit WW for identification. That is that a fair and accurate representation of your personal LinkedIn page? If you could take a moment to take a look at it.
Sure. Mr. Alessi, I'm going to ask you to step back so all the jurors can see the
Yes,
pictures,
Your Honor.
please.
Thank you.
Oh no, this is hard to watch. Sheesh.
Yes, it does, with a error on page 2 regarding education.
Right, and we're going to get to that.
Sure.
But this is you recognize this as
And somebody said this in the chat. He said, there's an error on whatever you're showing me right here. Okay. Once they said, guys, don't forget, he never lied. It was an error. That's what he said here. Jeez, man.
fair and accurate depiction of your personal LinkedIn page with the exception of what you just mentioned, correct?
Correct.
Did you draft that document that's represented as Exhibit WW?
I have drafted that over time, yes.
And
Dang.
when was the last time you viewed that document on your LinkedIn page?
I don't typically view the profile page, so it would have been, I could not tell you how long it's been.
Do
Dang.
you have any reason to believe that that Exhibit WW is not on your LinkedIn page online as we sit here today?
No, I don't.
Your Honor, I move Exhibit WW into evidence.
No objection.
That's embarrassing, man.
To mark it for the next exhibit, please, thank you.
Exhibit 186.
Thank you.
I would like to turn your attention to your the printout of your personal LinkedIn page
This
and
is
go
tough.
right to the second page, bottom.
Dang.
And under education, it says University of Alabama at Birmingham. It's got a little UAB acronym there. And it says Bachelor of Science, B period, S period, comma, Applied Mathematics and Scientific Computation, 2016-2018. Do you see that, sir?
Yes, I do.
Dang.
That's not correct, is it?
No, it's not correct.
And you do not hold a BS in a Bachelor of Science in Applied Mathematics and Scientific Computation from the University of Alabama at Birmingham, do you?
I do not. And that would have been, at that time, an expected graduation date?
So it would be expected.
An expected graduation date. This man has been pursuing a bachelor's degree for over 12 years, over a decade.
You
Jeez.
state.
Correct.
Come
It
on,
would
Shannon.
be another word for, another word currently pursuing? Is that similar to expecting?
Sure, that could be similar.
But you know how to put currently pursuing down, don't you, sir? Because you did it on the first few CVs, but you don't have it on your LinkedIn page, am I correct?
Uh-oh.
Correct. That's probably because, obviously, that has not been updated in quite some time.
And you said you get notifications when people access your LinkedIn page, correct?
I get selective notifications when people view my LinkedIn page.
So you know people are looking at your LinkedIn page, you know people are looking at your education, and you have down here 2016 to 2018. So that time period is 7 years old from 2018, yet you use the 2016 to 2018 on your LinkedIn page, correct?
Correct. With the caveat that my understanding is people look at your post, not specifically the profile information.
Oh, so you believe you know apparently when people are looking at it and what they look at?
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying generally.
Generally.
Correct.
But you don't know who's looking at the education section on your LinkedIn page and relying upon what is represented here, that you have a Bachelor of Science in Applied Mathematics and Scientific Computation from the University of Alabama at Birmingham.
Not from the LinkedIn page. Yeah, just independently of the LinkedIn page, yes.
He changed it too, yeah. And actually, he didn't change it. What happened was he did not change it on his on his LinkedIn profile. He just took his LinkedIn profile down. We actually went to his LinkedIn profile. We looked at it live during the trial. If y'all want to watch that, just go to the live section and find day 18. And that's when it happened. That's when everything went down. I'll also leave a link in the description to that in the in this video. But to let you guys know, we're going to follow up on this. There is a rumor that maybe Shannon was not fired. I don't usually like talking about rumors here, but there's a rumor going around that Shannon may have been hired by Celebrite. If that's true, you guys know we're going to talk about it here. Let me know what you think about Shannon Burgess no longer being listed as a witness or an expert witness or an expert on the Aperture website and his LinkedIn being gone. What's up with that? Let me know what y'all think in the comments and in the chat. Guys, this is getting crazy. Shout out to the gang. We've got over 1,000 of y'all in here, over 1,100 of you in the building. If y'all could, on your way in, please make sure you like the video. Now, again, y'all know I don't like talking about rumors, but it's being said that Shannon could possibly have found another home. I'm not seeing anything on the Celebrite website yet, but that would be crazy. Maybe he's just doing continuing education training and they're getting him his degree. Either way, this was an entirely wild story, to say the least. Let me see. We've got a bunch of y'all in here. Shout out to Slim Life New Jersey with the 5 bomb. She says, good morning, ClassE, Amy, and my amazing CEB family. I hope everyone has a blessed day. Remember, God is good all the time, and all the time, God is good. Amen. Love y'all so big. Thank you, and big shout out to Slim Life. Always supporting. I appreciate you. All right, let me see what y'all are saying about that. Shout out to Wednesday said, remember, guys, he didn't lie. It was an error. Of course it was an error. This guy is a fraud. I hope he wasn't hired elsewhere. It's possible. It's definitely possible. No way a company is that incompetent to hire this man. That's why I don't put too much weight into it. I can't imagine after seeing his work on this trial that another company would want to hire him. Not only that, but if they do, are you really going to want to call him as an expert witness? It doesn't make sense to me. I think he needs a new name, maybe Shannon with 2 N's. Oh, dang. Oh my gosh, Mr. Alessi doesn't get uncomfortable. No, he doesn't. I was on the website earlier this week or last week. He was there on the website. He is no longer on the website under experts. Yep, and we just went through and showed y'all that. I love Alessi's cross. I think I have seen it more than 10 times. He absolutely cooked this guy. I could go through and watch this again. And if y'all want to know where I'm at, where you can find it, it's day 18, about 5.5 hours in, and you'll be able to find it. What else are y'all saying? Didn't change it? Yeah. Oh, he definitely majorly changed it. Shout out to Mr. Brown in here with the 5 bomb. Says, good morning, bro. Have a blessed day. Same to you, Mr. Brown. Thank you for the support as always. Absolutely. Yeah. And while we're on the subject of rehoming people, we got to talk about the disgraced former trooper Proctor, because he's back in the news again. This guy's crying again about his badge being taken. And you guys may not have seen this, but Trooper Proctor is actually appealing the decision that was made to remove him from his job. He's trying to fight to get his job back. I know, it's shocking. But we're going to talk about it, see what's going on. I cannot believe this man is still in the news, but you guys know Karen Reed is the gift that keeps on giving. So let's go ahead and get right into it. We're not wasting any time today. Also, big shout out, 100% of you that are in the building have liked the video. Thank you guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. You all have no idea how much it helps for you to like the video. So if you could take 1 second, less than a second, and hit that like button. It helps out so much. So thank y'all to every single 100 or 1,100 of you that like the video. I appreciate it. All right, let's go ahead and get into it. So, oh boy, Michael Proctor is back in the news, and it's not for what you would think. Apparently, he's not taking too fondly to the fact that he got let go and he's not a trooper anymore. You guys heard in the interview he did, he was crying about how his badge was taken, and it just hurt him so bad. So now Michael Proctor is back in the news, and he's actually appealing the decision to have him removed from his position. Let's find out what's going on here. Michael Proctor's appeal over state police termination moves forward with a hearing. The since fired and disgraced lead Massachusetts state police investigator in the case against Karen Reed appeared at Tuesday's virtual hearing before members of the Civil Service Commission Tuesday. Do you guys think he's going to be reinstated? We'll have to wait and see.
Well, Karen Reed's murder trials may be in the past, but some key players in the case are still dealing with repercussions.
It's crazy.
Our NBC 10's Malcolm Johnson has updates on some of the law enforcement involved in John O'Keefe's murder investigation.
Today, former Massachusetts State Police trooper and Karen Reed case investigator Michael Proctor trying to get his job back.
He remains terminated at this point.
Cameras were not allowed to record during his appeal hearing before the Civil Service Commission.
I certainly understand that he has every right to go through a process, and I understand that that process is certainly ongoing. That process does not include the state police.
And today, Massachusetts State Police confirming Trooper David DeCicco was transferred from the Norfolk DA's office to the Holden Barracks back in January. In the first trial, Proctor testified and read text message from a chain with other troopers, including DeCicco. The news comes as Sergeant Yuri Buchanan, one of the lead investigators in the Karen Reed case, has been transferred out of the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office.
It is not a demotion because he's allowed to retain his rank. However, the change of assignment is absolutely a disciplinary action on behalf of the department against Sergeant Buchanan.
The investigation was conducted with honor and integrity.
The changes and reassignments within state police.
We will always search for ways to do better, to enhance our operations.
Come as the department is initiating a new excellence initiative to regain public trust following the Karen Reed case.
Now the trial is over, myself and our team have taken the information, and we are in the process of reviewing that information. We have an unresolving commitment to always meet the needs of the Commonwealth and to do so in the highest professional standards.
Really? Because wait. The man that you had in charge of your professional standard said that this botched investigation was handled with honor and integrity. We just heard the clip. So are you saying this is a move to reestablish that honor and integrity? You guys wouldn't know honor and integrity if it slapped you in the face. Let's be real.
And as for Michael Proctor, Colton, we know that his next appeal hearing will be held on August 19th in person. We're reporting in Dedham tonight. I'm Malcolm Johnson, NBC 10 Boston.
All right, so shout out to Malcolm. Lead Karen Reed trial investigator Michael Proctor's efforts to appeal his firing as Massachusetts state police officer continues. He appeared at a virtual hearing on Tuesday. Proctor was fired in March, as we know, after an internal investigation announced in the wake of the Karen Reed's first trial sustained allegations of misconduct, including over derogatory text messages, sharing information with people outside the department. He was texting his sister about the trial and drinking alcohol on duty. He was drinking with another officer. Tuesday's procedural hearing was a part of his appeal to the state's Civil Service Commission, an independent body that adjudicates issues involving state and local work, discipline, layoffs, alleged violations of state service law, and more. He told Dateline last month he wanted his job back. He cried. He said, "I was heartbroken. I was so upset when they came and they took my badge and my uniform. But I was perfectly fine with riding around with evidence in my truck for over a month." Have you ever had a moment of poor lapse of judgment when you're just airing something out on your personal phone? This is what Michael Proctor said. State police have said they were confident the evidence against Proctor was sufficient for civil service to affirm the police chief's decision to terminate Michael Proctor. He ain't getting his job back. Colonel Jeffrey Noble, who leads the department, briefly addressed Proctor's appeal in an NBC 10 Boston interview last week. He remains terminated at this point, and I certainly understand that he has every right to go through a process, but he ain't coming back. And I understand that that process is ongoing. That process does not include the state police.
Can you give me a sense of the reasoning behind the recently announced
Here's the interview with the colonel.
to build public trust and where that reasoning came from?
Absolutely. I think my main mission in coming here and when I was appointed by Governor Healy was to conduct a full assessment of the operations of the Massachusetts State Police, and that's a promise that I made to the people of Massachusetts, certainly to the governor, and to most importantly troopers. I stand ready, willing, and able to conduct that assessment, to execute on the promises that I made to the Commonwealth, and that promise includes always looking at ways in which we can do better. And after my first 9 months here, we have introduced the Excellence Initiative, which is a snapshot, which covers my assessment over the first 9 months and a realistic plan that we can execute. But
micromanaging
the reason
adults,
that you asked is
like
because we have an unresolving commitment to always meet the needs of the Commonwealth and to do so in the highest professional standards. And you know, that's a promise that the Mass State Police makes to all of our constituents, and the Excellence Initiative is helps us chart that course.
I'm curious your overall thoughts on the Karen Reed verdict, and if this campaign at all came out of the verdict that was reached in that case.
Yeah, certainly the state police, and this will certainly continue while I'm here, is that we will always search for ways to do better, to enhance our operations. Any major event, whether it's a trial or it's a security event like here with the Boston fireworks, we will do an after action. We will look introspectively at the Mass State Police, and we will always look in areas and ways that we can do better. And the Karen Reed trial just is another example of that. Certainly now the trial is over, myself and our team have taken the information, and we are in the process of reviewing that information. And parts of that review will certainly lead to suggestions in which the Mass State Police can make additions, enhancements to our overall.
On that topic, what is the status of Michael Proctor?
He's trying to clean it up
because of Karen Reed's testimony.
The discipline process for Michael Proctor has been well published. Certainly that's out there. He remains terminated at this point, and I certainly understand that he has every right to go through a process, and I understand that process is certainly ongoing. That process does not include the state police. The state police role in the Michael Proctor discipline process has concluded, and he has been terminated from service.
As he should be, right?
To try to reestablish trust within the community after this verdict came down?
Absolutely. I believe that the effectiveness of any police agency, particularly a state police agency, particularly one that has the enormous responsibility and scope of our duties, relies and needs public trust. And that needs to be a relentless pursuit for every trooper. That's a challenge that we take on proudly, and we understand the value of public trust as it relates to the ability for our troopers to go out there and perform every single day. So for me, the journey to earn and maintain public trust is a never-ending journey. And certainly we take all the events that we've seen over the last several years, and our goal is to learn from them, build from them.
Yeah, I'm sure they will make that happen. Oh my gosh. So they also say the hearing before members of the Civil Service Commission on Tuesday afternoon was made public following a request from the state police, a commission lawyer told NBC News Boston. The recording was not allowed, unfortunately. Dressed in a suit and a tie, Proctor spoke briefly as the meeting began, saying, "Good afternoon, sir," to the commission chair, Chris Bowman. The meeting was procedural, reviewing how the appeal would unfold. Can y'all imagine if they have to read these text messages during this meeting? Y'all, that would be awkward. A full in-person hearing is scheduled for mid-August, and checking in on disagreement over evidence the lawyers for Proctor and the state police were seeking in this case. All right. The lawyers said they had reached an agreement before the hearing involving a trip to a police facility together to pull records they were seeking. The good news is I believe we can work through as much of these discovery issues as exists, Proctor's attorney, I think it's Daniel, we're going to say DM, said. The only downside is I believe it's going to take longer than we anticipated. Y'all think they're going to hire this man back? I don't see any way that they could do that. It says Bowman stressed that it would be difficult to postpone the August hearing dates, at least for today. What I'm saying is I try and continue to cooperate efforts that we're all grateful for. Try and move heaven and earth to get this done. Proctor's lawyers also confirmed to Bowman that Proctor's information has been listed by the Post Commission, which certifies state and local law enforcement officers. The website lists Proctor, who remains certified as an officer in Massachusetts, though without a law enforcement agency. That's interesting. It's like being a doctor, I guess, but you can't practice. Okay, well, I guess that's what we're doing these days.
With everything that's happened,
this is Proctor.
What is the most important thing to you that you want people to know out of all of this?
I guess for people to know is that those text messages, as juvenile as they are, it's not me as a person.
Oh my God.
I vented after being involved in an investigation of a police officer and used words that I regret.
People see those text messages and they instantly jump to a conclusion about you that you must be biased, you must be a bad person, and I'm sure many other names.
Yeah. I could see how people make that leap,
victim, guys,
because that's all they know about me. They don't know who I am.
Yeah.
They don't know the kind of person that I am. They just see those text messages and they immediately just assume I'm a bad person.
Yeah, you know what, guys? We got it all wrong. Let's invite Proctor to the barbecue. Let's get to know him. Say, hey, Mike, what's going through your mind, man? You seem to be a good guy, you know? You mishandled the investigation. You did some shady work at the Sally Port. You called Karen Reed names. You said dirty, disgusting things about her attorney. You know, but you seem to be a good guy. I mean, make one mistake, 2 mistakes, 50 mistakes. You know, it's not a big deal. Let's get to know him. Bowman stressed that it would be difficult to postpone the August hearing dates, at least for today. What I'm saying is, oh, okay, I already read this. We'll try and continue and be cooperative and grateful. We're going to do the best that we can, right? Reed's name briefly came up in a discussion about how to limit the scope of requests for emails to be included as evidence. They're going to include the text messages are all that matter. He was sending texts about what he was going to do with Karen Reed's phone and that he was looking for pictures. He texted his sister and was telling her information about the investigation, an ongoing investigation. Pretty open and shut, but they got to go through the process, as was said by the chief. Last month, Reed was acquitted of the most serious charges against her in the death of her boyfriend, Boston police officer John O'Keefe. She received a year of probation for the one guilty verdict, rendering against her a charge of operating under the influence. The Reed case has caused other fallout at Massachusetts State Police. Proctor's supervisor, Yuri Buchanan, was reassigned, rehomed, fired out of Norfolk County District Attorney's Office. Police confirmed Monday. On Tuesday, the department confirmed another trooper involved in the case, David DeChico, was moved out of the office as well. What? We got Tully, we've got Yuri, we've got Proctor, we've got DeChico. We haven't even talked about DeChico. I might have to look up more information and find that out for y'all, where he's at. Crazy stuff. Karen Reed trial, the gift that keeps on giving. I guess it's good to see the Massachusetts State Police doing something, BPD doing something, but there's a lot of work that needs to be done moving forward. We covered some of the issues that are going on in BPD yesterday. Let me know what y'all think about this in the comments and in the chat. Oh boy. What a mess, man. Y'all think Michael Proctor should get his job back? Oh, Officer Dever. Officer Dever is gone too. Yep. That's true. She's not gone, but she's on a leave of absence. Thank y'all for the super chats in here. I see some of you. Shout out to Shine on You Crazy Diamond with the €6. Says any criminal caught by Proctor in the future would, if he got his job back, raise his fist in the air and shout, "Yes, lucky me." They should already be reviewing those cases by now. Any investigation he's done in the past, if somebody got locked up for a significant amount of time, I'm sure there's appeals flying through that courtroom. Has to be. Same thing with Shannon Burgess at Aperture. We've got Kelly Steve, Talk Time with Amy, Boston, and Kelly. Okay, I see y'all out there. Shout out to the content creators in the building with the 2 bomb. Says that officer was Kevin Albert. Shocker. Yeah. Kevin Albert, that's another one up out of there. It's embarrassing. Oh, yeah, they're sending Dever to reprogramming. That's crazy. Okay, but the man could most certainly go into voice acting. His dramatic reading with inflection in his third language was absolutely superb cinema. Yeah, shout out to Yuri Buchanan. He did a great job reading those text messages. We still never went back and looked at Brian Higgins reading the text messages for an extended period of time. I might have to go into the archives and do that one day. He's involved in the Brian Walsh case too. Yep. He was on the stand. I saw that yesterday. They went through his phone without a warrant. What? Oh, man. BS that he's venting and BS that he was emotional about John. He was trying to justify his dirty actions to himself. Ooh, okay, that's true. I am not related to Wayne Brady, but I do get that a lot. Shout out to you. And thank you again. 1,500 of you in here. Guys, if you could please make sure you like the video. Likes are free. I would appreciate it if y'all like the video. It's nearly most of you have liked the video. We've got 1,200 likes. There's about 1,500 of y'all in here. I know we can get 300 more likes. So thank you to everyone who's done that. Yeah, shout out to Wayne Brady though. One of the funniest guys on the planet. Most talented too. All right, we're going to move right into our next topic. We're going to talk about some more Diddy stuff. And this is going to be interesting. There has been so much back and forth there's been a lot of back and forth about what Diddy's sentencing is going to be. Obviously, we had a weird situation the other day where Diddy's team seemed like they were going to try and get his sentencing expedited. But then they seemingly met with the prosecution. They pulled back and said, we'll just take a little bit more time. Now we hear this from the judge seemingly saying, I want you guys to figure out what you think the sentence should be, which is interesting to see, obviously. So shout out to Megan Kuniff over on X. She posted this order that we're going to read here in a second. She also says Judge AS, as we call him over here, because I can't pronounce his last name, knows he has a lot on his plate with the sentencing of Diddy. To prepare, he wants the attorneys to find cases like Diddy's where the offense levels were calculated based on transportation to engage in prostitution and the lowest criminal history, because Diddy does not have we won't say he doesn't have a criminal history. He just hasn't been charged with anything. This is the first time he's been charged and found guilty of a crime. So what did the judge say? Judge AS, the United States District Judge, says this: in connection with the sentencing proceeding in this case, the court would find it helpful to have available data on sentences imposed where 1, the primary or sole conviction was for a violation of 18 USC, you guys know, or 2, the base offense level under the sentencing guidelines was calculated under 2G1.A, or and a criminal history of category 1. Now, we were speculating yesterday in the last video. We talked about why in the world would the prosecution and the defense come to an agreement to just keep the October date and leave Diddy in jail? We had no idea. We were speculating or wondering why they could do that. Now that we hear this from the judge, it seems like they could have been anticipating that the judge was going to need some time to figure out this case, because let's be real. We've heard it from several attorneys. We heard it from Harvey Levin over on TMZ, and they said if Diddy was just going to get charged for this transportation for prostitution, then the feds would have never brought this case in the first place. So now the judge is like, man, we were supposed to get a RICO charge. We didn't get that. We were supposed to get this trafficking That's why we're here. We didn't get that. So can y'all tell me what to do? Because really, this should have been state level charges and he should have gotten a misdemeanor. So now I need you guys to find me some cases where this happened, because the feds don't usually lose. They've got a 98% success rate. So he goes on to say the parties should locate cases that they believe match the criteria and file a letter, hopefully a joint letter, identifying those cases by docket number and jurisdiction on or before September 1st of 2025. No argument should be included with this letter. He's like, hey, I don't want to hear why you guys think this applies. If it applies, it applies. If not, it doesn't. I'll make that decision. Just give me the information so I can plan and adjust accordingly. This is going to be interesting to see what both sides say in response and how they come to an agreement. As we mentioned before, the prosecution is only looking for, I think, a maximum of 5 years. Is that what they said? 51 to 62 months. So they should be able to find some cases on both sides that actually say maybe it needs to be lesser. So this could be another win for Diddy. The goal here, the judge says, is for the parties' subsequent sentencing submissions to address the cases identified in the September 1 filing, focusing on those that each side believes reflect sentences imposed for similarly situated defendants, if any. The court appreciates the parties' assistance in identifying these cases, and as this information is not presently available from the Sentencing Commission. So ordered July 9th. So it was yesterday afternoon, which that's an interesting last statement, because does that mean something like this hasn't really happened? I can imagine it has, but I would be interested to know what these violations look like. And if there's been a case, and a federal case specifically, where someone has gone up there, they've been accused of a RICO and trafficking and only found guilty on a lesser charge. I mean, that's got to be 2% of the federal cases if they have a 98% success rate, right? How much digging are they going to have to do to find this information? Probably why they needed more time. So it's all starting to make sense. Let's get into this article from Megan Cuniff. I will be posting a link to this in the description as well. And what does she have to say? She says the feds indicate at least 6 to 8 years in prison as the judge finalizes Diddy's sentencing date. Now, this was posted the day before. And Megan says prosecutors appear ready for a novel argument under a recent federal guideline amendment that prohibits acquitted conduct from being considered at sentencing. So that's interesting, because the judge even said, because you guys admitted that Diddy was violent and that if this was a domestic violence case, then Diddy would be thrown in jail, no problem. So let's see what they had to say here. Diddy will be sentenced on October 3rd after his lawyers on Tuesday abandoned their request to expedite the hearing. The 55-year-old rapper will remain at MDC in Brooklyn because the U.S. District Judge AS rejected his bail request last week. Diddy's lawyers requested a September 22 sentencing in a joint letter with prosecutors filed early Tuesday, but they filed another letter later in the morning that requested the original October 3rd date. Prosecutors and the U.S. Probation Office will evaluate Combs and make its own sentencing recommendation, and they didn't object. Judge A.S. authorized the schedule following a short phone hearing in which his deputy clerk said he'd respond to the scheduling request in writing. Diddy faces up to 10 years in prison for each of the two convictions, as we know, 20 years total for interstate transportation for the purpose of prostitution. But prosecutors say their preliminary calculation of his standard range under the U.S. Sentencing Commission guidelines is 51 to 63 months. His lawyer says it's 21 to 27 months. So there's back and forth there. Again, another reason they probably need some more time to find case law on this. Prosecutors didn't include it in their 51 to 63 month calculation, but they said they plan to seek a 4-point enhancement to Combs' offense level. Oh my, which is a key component to federal sentencing for offenses involving fraud or coercion. But there wasn't anything he was found guilty of that included fraud or coercion. So that's interesting. Judge A.S. agrees That would increase Combs' standard range from 78 to 97 months in prison, which in 6 years and 6 months to slightly more than 8 years. Wow. Prosecution also indicated they may seek other enhancements because they haven't, quote, had adequate time to carefully consider all potentially applicable guideline provisions. The defense sentencing position is due September 19th, and the prosecutors are to file their position on September 26th. Prosecutors detailed their preliminary 51 to 63 month range in filing last week that argued against Combs' bail request. And they said it could increase because evidence related to the convictions overlaps substantially with the evidence related to the trafficking count. So again, we now see that the reason they needed more time is because they want to be able to prove that they're trying to over-sentence him. The prosecution's trying to over-sentence Diddy. And obviously Diddy probably said, no, I'll send it. If I've got to stay here a little bit longer for you guys to figure out and get me out sooner, then we'll have to do that, right? That's a tough decision to make. I can't imagine. Prosecutors cite a U.S. Sentencing Commission guideline that was amended in November of last year to exclude acquitted conduct from being considered relevant conduct at sentencing. So those 4 points that they're trying to add and then give him another 2 years, the defense is saying that that shouldn't be allowed. Prosecutors emphasize in trial that interstate transportation for prostitution is illegal, even if everyone involved consents. That's true. It's a dumb rule, a dumb law, but it is what it is. But jurors had no way of indicating on their verdict sheet if they believed the commercial intercourse acts at the center of the transportation acts were consensual, which I think they would. Hearing from the alternate juror, I think we could all agree that they would probably think it was consensual as well. The acquittal on the trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion charges indicates the jury agreed it was, but that isn't enough to stop prosecutors from seeking more prison time for the transportation convictions because Combs used fraud or coercion to commit those crimes. But you also can't assume that. Prosecutors' 8-page filing last week cites the overlapping evidence on the trafficking and transportation charges when arguing that much of this conduct is not included in the guidelines definition of acquitted conduct and may be relevant to the guidelines circulation. I don't see how they could do that, especially when Diddy was found not guilty on those charges. But I guess we would have to look at whatever was amended. This U.S. Sentencing Commission guideline was amended to get more information there. I'm not an attorney, so I'm going to let the attorneys handle that one. And may be relevant to the guidelines calculation. They warned, however, the government requires additional time to consider any other potential enhancements or cross-references that may be applicable. Michael Friedman, a criminal defense attorney in LA, and said the new amendment and prosecutors' enhancement arguments sets the stage for an unusual sentencing decision for Judge A.S. that will be ripe for appeal. This is an avant-garde federal sentencing litigation, Friedman said. Friedman said prosecutors are going to act as, quote, if they won and he did everything that they said he did. You can't do that. He was found not guilty. And they are going to try to shoehorn that into the guidelines, and it's going to get a little bit messy. The judge has to make the right decision here. These are novel amendments, so this is just going to be fodder for appeal. And then Megan goes on to talk about the prosecution wanting more prison time for his obstruction of justice. We're not going to get into that today. I'll leave a link to this article. Very well done by Megan Kunis. Shout out to her. She's done a great job covering this trial. Let me know what you guys think. Is this a good sign or a bad sign for Diddy? Again, with the federal government having a 98% success rate, I can imagine that it's going to be difficult to find these specific charges or a case where, I mean, the jury is basically calling, they're calling the quote unquote victims women of the night and prostitutes. I can imagine that the federal government would have several cases that show this charge only being found guilty of. So let me know what you guys think about this in the comments in the chat. Very interesting stuff. And again, I try not to be blinded by all of the legal and law stuff, but it would be interesting to see what these U.S. Sentencing Commission guidelines say and why they were amended and what was amended. The only problem is I probably wouldn't. I don't know if I would understand it. So we'll let one of our attorneys handle that and get back to us. Shout out to everyone who just stopped by. Thank you to all 1,300 of you that liked the video. Let me see what y'all are saying in here. Did I miss any comments? Because I was over there reading. I didn't see y'all's comments. We've got shout out to Kate in the building. Just became a new member. Appreciate you being a member, Kate. If you haven't yet, make sure you check out all the members only content, and you also get instant access to any videos we drop here on the channel. So thank you for being here, Kate, and thank you for becoming a gold member as well. I appreciate y'all. What else are you guys saying in here? We got one more topic to get to. We said, I'm late, but I finally caught a live. Love your coverage. Thank you for being here. Shout out to, is it Chisel? I know I'm saying that wrong. I think it's Chisel. We're going to go with Chisel. This is some loser crap on behalf of the feds. He was not convicted. He was not a convicted criminal till now. That's going to be factored in by the judge. I agree. I just noticed you were here early today. Yes, I am. We're doing a little early show today. Nobody will get the violins out for you, Proctor. Maybe you can find a job driving a snowplow. Ow! Dang. Oh man, Diddy no longer gonna get hotels for freak offs. He will have a freak off dungeon dedicated for that. One room strictly for the baby oil. That's what he should have been doing the whole time. Stop flying people out, man. It's crazy work by Diddy. Over sentencing for black people is an issue. I would look at all the cases he was a part of. That's a good point. I doubt that he's seen a case like this, though, and that's what it's sounding like. I think he should get time served and maybe a little probation. I've been saying that as well. Tired of seeing our tax dollars being used for these big corporations who are nothing but liars, cheats, and thieves. What a waste of time. How are they able to enhance this charges from an acquittal? Because the judge, there's several factors that the judge can take into account when sentencing. So now the judge has to look at all the facts of the case, has to look at what the charges are, and then we keep moving forward. So that's how this works. What else are we saying in here? Okay, I think we're good. Let me get this next topic in here about YNW Melly. So we've been keeping up to date on what's been going on with YNW Melly. And I'm not going to lie, I saw this going down and YNW Melly was crashing out in court. So we're going to talk about it here in a second. Again, if you guys haven't yet, make sure you like the video. Likes are free. Let me see if I can find my YNW Melly picture. He's always in there smiling, probably because that grill is crazy. So as many of you may know, YNW Melly is still trying to figure out when his court date's going to be. There's been back and forth between the prosecution, the defense team, YNW Melly, Judge Fiend, and now we are actually going to get a visual and see that YNW Melly is really in charge of what's going on, because he has an instance here where they're going back and forth with the judge and trying to figure out what they're going to do about this court date. And YNW Melly is just sick of being in jail. You can tell he wants to get this. He wants to get this trial done. Already had to go through it once. You know he's got to go through it again. And it's interesting to see this interaction here. Y'all check it out and see what went down.
To reconsider or order moving forward with the trial on September the 10th. This trial date remains set on September the 10th. We did that last July 8th, 2024. Although there's no motion to continue filed. I did read the motion. I guess I'll treat this as a motion to continue. I did read the authority cited therein. I did read again, Florida Statute 924-071. Additional grounds for appeal by state, time for taking and stay of cause. I likewise again reviewed the omnibus order on defendant's motion to suppress 1 through 13, which was entered by Judge Murphy on December the 20th, 2023. I also reviewed the order from Judge Murphy denying the defendant's motion to set aside stay, and order granting the defendant's motion to modify the stay to allow discovery to proceed. That's entered May 2nd, 2024. I likewise reviewed a Florida Supreme Court case called Mitchell versus State, 911, 7-2nd, 1211. It's a Supreme Court case, September 2005, regarding the serious constitutional issues that are implicated if the state were to be automatically entitled to stay the effect of a decision adverse to the state in a criminal proceeding. So, understanding that I've already looked at all of that, state, anything else that you would want to tell me in support of your motion?
No, Judge. My motion basically covers the previous court's orders, the statute, the case law in terms of how this case is stayed.
Okay. Defense. You all want the case to be stayed?
Oh, here we go.
The state says it's stayed, so should you agree with their motion, or do you not agree with it?
Can we have one moment?
Sure.
All right, so now this is where they confer with their client, and check out YNW Melly here. I was honestly surprised by this interaction. They're explaining everything to him. This man's done. He's ready to get out of there. He said, no, he said, let's go. He said, I'm tired. Dang. He's done. Melly said, let's go. Let's get this over with. This man's ready to get it over with. So check out what happens next. He said, I want to be out. His lawyer said, don't talk to me like that. And Melly just laughed at him. Wow. Tensions are high.
Yes, sir.
This dude has been in there so much of his life. It's insane. And he said, against our advice, our client wants to proceed. Wow.
Against our advice, our client wants to proceed.
You object to their request for me to determine if it's automatic stay.
Based upon what our client has instructed us, yes, sir.
Wow.
Okay, so let me make the record crystal clear on this one as well. I am aware that 924-071 calls for an automatic stay while the state is
Melly's ready to get out.
They want to appeal in this particular case. Mr. Dennis is charging out. So, state, I'm going to ask you, and I'm going to ask that. Judge Murphy entered this motion to suppress, which is the subject of the appeal. He entered this order on December 20th, 2023. That was 568 pages.
Jesus.
And in that order,
A year and a half.
he says at the end, the court has not been moved to consider the suppression of specific evidence. It is up to the party to inform the court as to what specific evidence falls within the suppression order and what specific evidence is admissible pursuant to that order. When we were here on the defendant's renewed motion for bond on May 6th, that was 65 days. I asked you all, had you gotten together and figured out what specific evidence
They're
falls
proposing they
within the
delay court. Excuse
I'm
me.
going to guess that hasn't happened.
No, Judge. I made the Proctor to the court last time as to what that evidence would be.
It was basically penalty phase, for lack of a better term.
No, they were aggravators. They go to membership in a gang. There are things that the jury would have to find before going into penalty.
Not aggravators as to the death penalty,
Sorry.
aggravators as to the gang enhancement itself, Your Honor. That was charged. He was charged in committing the murder for the furtherance of the gang, which is an aggravator in terms of the guilt.
Something that they would have to find by way of an interrogatory.
Yes.
Yes.
That's tough, man.
Objection, that's not correct. You all don't agree on that. No, what you just said, we do not agree on. Here is, I'm sorry, have you all done what Judge Murphy ordered you to do in 2023? It is up to the parties to inform the court as to what specific evidence falls within the suppression order and what specific evidence is admissible pursuant to this order.
May I answer the question this way? At that time, the state appealed it all, which stayed everything. And so at this point, the law on whether or not Judge Murphy was right or not is all up at the fourth, and it stayed. We can't determine that in a stayed case. It stayed.
You can't talk to the state and decide what this applies to?
I just argued what I have to argue, Judge. You're saying it stayed for only one purpose, but not. The answer is we are stayed and unable to do so.
You don't even know what evidence the order is.
No, I believe we do, and I think that's on appeal at the fourth.
So you guys are asking what happened. Basically what happened is they're talking about evidence and they're talking about a motion to stay. They were trying to delay this trial even more because they just haven't been able to get on the same page when it comes to evidence, when it comes to trial proceedings. We had an issue with Raven Liberty. We've had an issue with the judge having to tell Melly he gets an opportunity to decide if he wants to keep his attorneys or not. So there was almost a delay there. There's just been delay after delay after delay after delay. And now we have another issue here where they're going back and forth about evidence. It just seems like that this trial is always something. And again, keep in mind, this is the second time this is happening. So I'm not going to continue to play the rest of the court coverage here. You guys can check this out. I'll leave a link in the description, but let me know what you think about this. Melly just wanting to get to court. Was it a mistake by him rushing things along and moving forward? Should he have waited, made sure they get everything together? Y'all let me know what you think in the comments in the chat. Oh my gosh, man. It seems like this dude is never going to get out. He's been in there. He's been in there for so long, so much of his life. What did I say? A third of his life? Let me see how long it's been. Life has, I think it was, let me see. No, it's been longer than that. It's been, he's been in there so long, which is crazy. He waited last time and got more charges. There's that part. I remember that with Raven. He should have let her go. Well, people are saying there's something there, so. Jesus, man. All of his adult life, since he was 19. So he was arrested when he was 19. He's 26 now. 7+ years. Sheesh, man. That's crazy. That's like a third of his life. That's nearly a third of his life. Why would his lawyers want him to wait, though? Maybe they're still trying to get some evidentiary issues settled. He needs to hire YSL Steele. Diddy getting out before him? Dang, what happens if the witness sends emails not to let him out? Would he consider them? You have to be a little bit more specific with that question. I know nothing about evidence or guilt, but the prosecution is a mess. Yeah, this is weird. I went on Aperture a couple days ago and Shannon Burgess was still listed. Maybe he took a new position. Maybe they let him go. Who knows? All right, a couple more shouts out. Thank y'all again. Over 1,400 of you have liked the video. Thank you guys. It just takes a second. I appreciate y'all taking the opportunity and the chance to do that. We got a couple more super chats I wanted to read. Yeah, Lord have mercy is right. We've got, okay, here we go. I read that one from Kelly. Oh, okay. I got all the super chats. Thank y'all so much for for the love. Also, big shout out to CPE.
Cash App.
Drop the 5 bomb over on Cash App, showing some love. I know, y'all, this was a quick show, but do not fear. We are going to be back here tomorrow morning, and I'll have another show for you guys. So make sure, if you haven't yet, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any time we go live. I don't know if y'all heard it yet. We've got a new sound effect on the board.
It appears that I made a mistake.
We don't do that here, so we're probably not going to use it that often, but shout out to the amazing prosecutors for the Commonwealth that gave us that great moment. Hope you guys have a great rest of your morning, great rest of your afternoon. As always, you guys know what to do. Keep growing, keep pushing, keep it classy. We're going to get out of here. Peace. We gone.
It appears that I made a mistake.